All right, so it is Tuesday, September 2nd. It's been 8 days since my mastectomy. I filmed a couple little snippets, but not much actually. It's been kind of a roller coaster. So the day of my mastectomy, which I've posted, I was feeling pretty good. I knew that it would go downhill from there because I had the anesthetic still in me and any kind of nerve block or that kind of stuff that they gave me. I'm not sure what exactly they gave me. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday were also great. So I had very little pain. I really would say it was uncomfortable. So I was having times where, I just felt a little pressure or a little like light pain, but I'd never say it got to like real pain. The pharmacist had told me to take the Toradol, which is the anti-inflammatory, for 2 days straight and then kind of see how I was feeling. The doctor prescribed it as needed. So by Friday, I only took it twice. I was allowed to take it every 6 hours, and I took extra strength Tylenol twice, just to kind of make it a little more comfortable to move around, but I wasn't really in pain. And then I woke up, so Saturday morning at about 6 a.m. in agony. So much pain. And since then, the pain's gotten better, but I've been in pain ever since. Which is kind of the opposite of what most people say. Most people say the first few days are the worst, and then it gets better. I'm not exactly sure why. I think I did talk to the extramural nurse, the one who came. She didn't actually check my incision, which I was a little upset over, but I've checked it and it looks fine. I don't know, it looks gross, but it looks fine. And she wasn't really sure. She was able to get me a prescription for codeine. It's not actually Tylenol 3, but it's the same amount of codeine that would be in a Tylenol 3. It was a little frustrating because Saturday, when I was in a lot of pain, I could have really used it then. Because the nurse or the pharmacist isn't allowed to prescribe it because it's a narcotic, I had to wait until the next morning. A surgeon from another area of the province had to send it in because that was kind of who was on call. He says he did, but none of the pharmacies got it, so it got lost somehow. So it was 22 hours before I got it, and by that point I was like, I don't want to take an opioid. So it was really frustrating. I used to work in opioid world. So I was the executive director of an organization that worked with people who use drugs. So we did the naloxone kits and needle exchange and all that kind of stuff. So I'm quite familiar with the opioid epidemic, but I feel like we almost went too far. I wish that I had gotten a prescription for 2 Tylenol 3s to take as needed. I could have called it in Saturday and been like, yes, I need it now. What happened instead is that Saturday I got nothing, even though I was in extreme pain. Then Sunday morning they gave me 20. Yeah. So why? Why is that better? I totally get limiting opioid use, but I find that what we did instead was make it super hard to access them, but then we don't want you coming back frequently, so we make it 20. I didn't do 20. I think a much better system would have been if the surgeon had have given me a as needed prescription that I'd have to go talk to my pharmacist about, explain the pain, and get 3 at a time or something. If you want to give me 20, sure, but dole it out over 6 or 7. But anyway, I did take one Sunday night because I was having a lot of trouble sleeping, Saturday night, early morning early morning Saturday, that part of the night. And Saturday night to Sunday, I had a lot of pain. So Sunday night, I did decide to take one. I don't like how opioids make me feel. So I felt a little off. Again, it was very low dose codeine, kind of the lowest you can get. But I didn't love it. I did then, once I fell asleep though, I slept for 12 hours. So I think it may have knocked down the pain enough to just knock me out. I did wake up in the middle of the night and take just my Tylenol and anti-inflammatory, but no more. So I haven't had any more codeine. I had the 1 dose. And I don't anticipate having any more. But again, now I have 19 more. It's so silly with the opioid epidemic. I wish that they would give you like 2 instead of 20. Anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, so the pain has been a lot. I think it's actually a good sign. You know, I've been trying to figure out what this is. The nurse wasn't really sure, but I think what's happened is that the nerves are actually waking up, and so I'm feeling it. So the incision is from here to here. It's very large. I have 26, if I count it correct, stitches or staples, and they're, I think what happened, like, it was completely numb before, and like the incision itself is still numb, but I think like my nerves are starting to like wake up and are just like, holy shit, that was a lot. So the most painful spot is actually right here, kind of under my armpit, that area. So it's swollen. I did have that checked by the nurse. She did check that, and she said like the swelling, it's alarming to me, but she was like, same with my nurse. I've had 2 nurses now see it. We're like, oh no, that swelling's great. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. Apparently it's great. It seems alarming to me, but of course I'm supposed to have swelling after surgery. So that's the most painful part. I think it's just my body's like, hey, because I can now like feel touching around some where I couldn't the other day. So I think that's a good sign that I'm regaining sensation. The other thing, I was really appreciative. I'm on a couple of breast cancer like support groups on Facebook, and one of the women there said that her incision got really dry, and that felt really irritated. And I was like, yes, I think that's part of it. It's dry and kind of that pulling, you know, when you have a scab that's healing. So the extramural nurse had given me a bottle of saline that I can rinse it with. So I did rinse it, and I think it did make it feel a little better, just when I was doing my dressing change. But it was funny because I was like holding a towel here to make sure it didn't get into my drain, and putting the saline on. I was like, oh, it's not coming out, because I couldn't feel it. And then I realized it was. I just couldn't feel the sensation. So I couldn't actually feel it until it hit like below my incision. And then I was like, oh, it's running down. So that's kind of weird. Sorry, I have an itch, and it's, yeah. So my range of motion was great the other day. It's still pretty good. Like, there's an exercise to do like this, and it's still pretty good. I can't feel any cording, which is great. I do have like a weird thing here, and I can't tell if it's cording or just like a muscle tissue. I'm gonna ask the surgeon about that. But I'd say my biggest complaint, yeah, is there in my armpit. So my armpit is obviously swollen. They did remove 2 or 3 lymph nodes. I don't have the final total yet. And so that's swollen. It's also hard because I've tried with like face cloths and things, but I can't properly wash it, which is really, really annoying because I still haven't been allowed to shower. So what I've done is I'm allowed to like sit in the tub essentially, and so I'll like wear my compression bra, which you can see poking out here. I'll attach my drain to this my compression bra so it's up, and then I can like have a bath kind of up to my belly button, wash around. I just find like this armpit I can wash well because I don't worry about the water running down. This one I'm a little more hesitant. It's a little harder to do. So I don't think, you know, I think that's part of it. I just feel hot and sticky. I do still have like a blue streak on my back. We're not exactly sure what that was from, but it's some kind of dye or something. I don't know what it was after surgery. I'm kind of curious. I may ask the surgeon, be like, what was blue on my back? Because like the red cleaner was all here, and I've gotten, I think, most of that off. But I can't like wash my back, and so Kelly like washed my back and like tried to get it off, but like it's still there. I'm still blue. I assume it's from the blue dye. So they injected blue dye into to make my lymph nodes beyond just the radioactive, but make them blue to be easier to find, because they're super small, right? Like normal is considered 4 millimeters. They're really small, so I think some of the dye just like seeped down and like got on my back. Anyway, but I am gonna ask because I'm curious. But yeah, so I'm feeling pretty well now. Ish, I don't know. I think it was hard because my first 5 days were so good. Like up until Friday, I was like, this is a piece of cake. Like this is great. So my daughter's daycare was closed on Friday because they had a professional development day. I love her daycare. They're fantastic. Most daycares don't get professional development days. And so it was a 4-day weekend because it was Labor Day, which was a lot. My daughter's 2 and I love her, but she's 2. So a lot sometimes. So we did take her to the mall on Friday because I just wanted to get out of the house. And I felt really good. I felt fine. So I was walking through the mall and like, I wasn't, I was getting her to hold this hand and like, still being a little guarded about this arm. But I wasn't thinking until we actually went into Old Navy to get her some new clothes. And suddenly I was like, right, I'm not supposed to swing my arms. So when you walk, you like naturally swing your arms, and I do a lot. And I wasn't thinking about that, and that can increase fluid production. So that's the only thing we can think of that Friday I did differently. So once I got to Old Navy, I was like, right, hand in my pocket. And so I kind of like had my hand in my pocket or on my belt loops to like make sure I didn't swing my arm. But I didn't do anything, right? Like we just went for a walk. It's not like I did a bunch of like chores or anything like that. I really haven't done anything. So yeah, so I'm not exactly sure what it was. My fluid production did go up massively, so I had been really excited. I've been down to 32, and then Saturday it jumped up to like 59. So my fluid production in a 24-hour period for my drain has to be under 20 mils for me to be able to take it out. So yesterday it was down to 30 something again. And what I do is I empty it at like 11-ish o'clock at night, somewhere 11 something, kind of so that midnight is my new 24 hours. And so overnight I changed it. I did sleep in this morning because I woke up at like 5:30 in pain, took my pain meds anyway. It was under 10. So it was, I'm guessing 8. It's a little hard. There's no exact, but I'd say 8, no more than 8 in like 10 and a half hours, really 11 and a half because I changed it at 11. So, there's hope that today will be the day. We'll see. I've collected just a tiny bit more really in the last couple hours. So today may be the 20 mils. That means I can call my nurse in the morning and she would come that day or maybe the next day, just depending on her schedule, which I get, and she'd remove it. I am a little nervous just so that there's the tubing and then like my diagram here. And then there's like the tubing's a little thicker, what's inside me. And they have like a stitch kind of like holding it in just where it's a little thicker, and then that's stitched into me. So she would take that stitch out and pull it out. That white part is like showing a little bit the last day. So anyway, but it seems to be okay. So anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So drain may come out tomorrow, fingers crossed, because I think I'll just feel a lot better right now. Like I've gotten very used to it, more than I thought I would, but it really like limits you. Again, I can't shower until 24 hours after my drain comes out. That's what my surgeon, everyone's surgeon is different. My surgeon has said that. So that's hard, and it's just, it makes me more, there's certain exercises I can't do until the drain comes out. And, yeah, so that's hard. And then my staples can come out anywhere between 9 and 12 days, I think it is. So tomorrow, if she comes for my drain, it's possible she'll take the staples out at the same time. I'm really nervous about that. I once had a just really small biopsy of a mole. It was actually on my other breast at the bottom, which was completely benign. It just looked weird. So anyway, I wanted to check it out. but that the surgeon removed the stitches a couple days early. He had wanted to take them in, keep them in like till the 9 to 12 days, and he took them out at like 6 or something because he was away. And it ended up like popping open, and I had to have it like steri-stripped closed, like glued or something again. I think they did just use steri-strips actually. So I'm a little nervous about that. So I'm gonna just say that and be like, what's better? Should we wait a couple more days? Like, what's the best case scenario? Because I am really nervous about that. Anyway, that's how I am. So still got the drain, still got the stitches, just waiting, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Okay, bye.